Hello, welcome to the Witness to Love podcast. Once again, I'm Sam Bryant. Have the pleasure today of introducing to you one of our young and upcoming therapists, Liberty Richardson. Good morning, Liberty. How are you feeling
Morning.
today?
Doing well, thank you. Excited to be here.
Praise God. So, hey, let's start by telling us a little bit about your life today, right? What's going on with Liberty today?
Okay, I've been married just over 8 years. I'm due with our fifth baby in a little over a month.
Wow,
Mostly a stay-at-home mom and really loving it.
awesome,
But I work here one day a week and an afternoon a week.
awesome, good deal. So, how many children in the family that you grew up in?
I'm the oldest of 11 children.
Awesome, wow,
Yeah,
good.
oldest of 11.
So let's backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit about what inspired you to move into therapy.
There wasn't really a moment of inspiration. I remember even in high school when people would ask me what I want to be when I grow up. It was always a wife and a mom, maybe a professional basketball player. But the only other thing I'd ever really think about was being, I'd say, a marriage counselor is what I'd say then. But I wasn't convicted, or it just seemed like the thing that would suit me best and interested me.
The idea of being a marriage therapist,
Therapist.
marriage counselor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was partly, I saw my parents have a good marriage and I really wanted to be married. And yeah, it really appealed to me.
Awesome.
But then I went to college. I got my undergrad in liberal arts. And I still kind of wanted to do it, but it wasn't, like I said, I still wasn't really convicted. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'll take a few years, make a little money. So I became a high school teacher and a basketball coach. And during that time, met my husband and got married. Well, I didn't meet him. We met in 8th grade, but we started to date. Got married, started having kids, and it wasn't until I was 30 and had 2 kids, and was really, really happy as a stay-at-home wife and mom.
Yes.
That I realized I was still feeling pulled to this.
Called maybe?
Yeah, called to being not just a marriage counselor at this point, but a marriage and family therapist. I think I was sort of inspired by you going back to school later in life and talking to you about it, and you gave me a vote of confidence that I could do it and would be good at it, had something to offer. My husband was really supportive.
Awesome.
And then just experiencing the healing of my own marriage and the joy of motherhood. And I felt that there was something, that I had something to offer.
That's beautiful. Can you talk a little bit about where you went to college to get your degree in counseling?
Yeah, so I was 5 months pregnant with our third baby, and I started an online program at Divine Mercy University, which is based out of Virginia. It used to be the Institute for the Psychological Sciences.
Yes.
And I did their full-time program, so 2.5 years later I graduated. I graduated about a week before I had our fourth baby.
Wow.
And it was great, really a wonderful experience. I primarily online, but flew there 3 times for 4-day intensive
Yes.
internship type things. And it was just I really loved the program.
Awesome. What did you find that you gleaned anything more by going to a Catholic institution as opposed to maybe going to a secular institution?
Yes, I think I must have. I know I did, and I think I'd know more about how much I did if I had experienced a secular institution.
Yes.
One thing that struck me was how seamlessly it seemed to build upon my undergrad education, which was a small Catholic liberal arts college.
Yes.
So we read a lot of Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict and St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Augustine. And but yeah, I think having my education be from an explicitly Catholic perspective of the human person,
yes,
how they relate to the world, how they relate to God, how they relate to themselves, really informed the way that I view this profession and my work in particular.
Awesome. So you've been seeing clients now for
If you include my internship and practicum, 3 years, I think.
about 3 years?
I think about 3 years.
Yeah. So now that you've been practicing about 3 years, right? So you've had the education part. Now you're in the real world doing it.
Yeah.
What has developed in you in your understanding of what counseling is?
It's really moved from, I think when I started out, I had this idea that I had to come into it with certain modalities that were, going to be non-negotiables and how I relate to the client, and really kind of planned out, how sessions would go. And but what I've realized is, for me at least, what seems to be the most healing and natural is entering into a real relationship with the client,
Got it.
which I think builds upon the Catholic education and the Catholic perspective of the human person. But yeah, that maybe the most powerful thing I can do for a client is be in an authentic relationship,
Yeah.
based in hopefully love and me being representative of Christ's love to the
Yes.
client.
Wow. So, kind of, would you say that's your gift as a therapist? Is that you have the capacity to be able to do that?
That would be great. I'd love to say that's my gift. I do think one of my strengths is being real,
Yes.
having real conversations and
Yeah.
kind of having a friendship almost with the
Yeah.
clients. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I have experienced as your supervisor and watching you work with clients and sitting in on my session. You're very earthy, right? Very down to earth. I think your clients find that very supportive and healing for them, right? And giving them very just natural insights into kind of like the human condition without over analyzing or over diagnosing, right? Because you can go down that path, which is fine, right? But it seems like at least some of what you provide, some of your gifts is in that area,
Yeah.
right? And do you attribute that to anything in your life, being able to be that kind of earthy, that down to earth centered person?
I guess partly, I hadn't really thought about it, but being a teacher, being so involved in sports growing up and as a coach,
Yes.
I've experienced the power of relating to the people that I'm engaging with.
Yes.
So, yes, kind of being an authority figure, I guess, as a coach or a teacher, but really striving to enter into relationship with them and relate to them and understand where they're coming from and what might be informing them or inspiring some of their behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just,
Perfect.
really trying to understand who they are.
How has your understanding of healing evolved from your time in grad school till now?
Well, I guess this is sort of how a big part of how my faith, I think, informs what I do as a therapist. But, I think a lot of clients, maybe most of them, are coming to therapy because they're suffering in some way.
Yes.
And I think initially I believed kind of the job of the therapist is to help alleviate suffering or eliminate suffering. But I think my faith informs this, but also my understanding of the human condition and life, that part of healing is learning how to suffer well. And yes, you don't want to just embrace all suffering and that's just, and call it quits on, trying to improve their condition, but that suffering is a part of the human condition, and we can flourish and be joyful and happy and have meaningful relationships with ourselves and others and God
Yes.
in the midst of suffering.
Yes.
and that might be what a great part of what healing is.
So something I've noticed in my own practice is getting people to understand that it's natural to suffer some of the things they're suffering, right? And that it's okay if they're mourning the loss of a child or they're hurt by some loss in their life. And just getting them to that point where it's okay, they find peace in the midst of suffering. Have you experienced that?
Yes, definitely. Awesome. And even sometimes it's how they relate to suffering. So like it could be they're suffering because of a relationship that's sort of strained, and the goal is to help the relationship not be strained. But that suffering or strain in a relationship happens. It's kind of normal, and it doesn't mean you let it be, but then, just accepting that happens and then working toward improvement.
Yeah. I like what you said earlier, though. It seems like counterintuitive that a person can be suffering and flourishing at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's a beautiful way. I think getting people there to understand, right, that it's natural to suffer. And even in the midst of suffering, you can have joy and you can have flourishing. Right? So I think that's a really profound part of what you described. This is just a kind of a question to get to know you a little bit. So let's imagine you're going on a trip, let's just say to Flagstaff, right?
Okay.
And you could take any person you want, any person in your life today or any historical figure on the drive with you. Who would you want to take with you on your drive?
My mind immediately goes to like a fun answer. I think a more serious answer would be someone like Mary Magdalene, just someone who experienced so profoundly the forgiveness and love of Jesus.
Yes.
My fun answer would probably be Jane Austen.
Yes.
She had a profound, again, I'll say, but understanding of the human person. And, she never married. She died young.
Yes.
But she wrote these timeless, poignant pieces on people and relationships and social status and suffering and marriage, and just seemed to have a really great grasp of who people are. Gotcha.
That's wonderful. Backtracking just a little bit, give us just kind of an idea of the modalities that you do use, and one maybe that you use more often than not.
I definitely, kind of on a basic level, come from a Rogerian, like person-centered, kind of what we were talking about earlier, but just entering into a relationship with the client. And that lends itself to kind of a Socratic dialogue, which I use a lot. Just.
Can you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, I do a lot of asking thought-provoking questions.
Awesome.
So that, hopefully to encourage the client to think on a more deep level about their life and the things that are, causing them frustration, or the things that are making them happy, or their relationships, and then just kind of dialoguing with them about it.
Awesome.
And it really ends up being me asking questions.
Yeah. I think a beautiful and powerful aspect of the Socratic dialogue is it promotes a sincere curiosity. The client feels like, my therapist wants to know about me, more deeply about me, and that's just very naturally kind of being the image of Christ. Christ knows us intimately, right? And he wants to be close to us. And he establishes that closeness first, right? It's the establishment of the relationship, kind of like when he meets the woman, quote unquote, caught in adultery, right? He establishes a connection with her before he offers her any instruction, which the instruction was go and sin no more, right? So I think that Socratic dialogue is, once again, it's a part of your gift as a therapist, right? That kind of earthy, hey, let's get down to the nuts and bolts of what's going on with you, and then help people kind of climb out of that hole, right? So they can kind of see the sunlight. Would you add anything else to what people might expect coming to see you as a client?
Well, with modalities, I would also say that I they can expect that I'll use a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yes.
And I'm striving to learn more, but also some internal family systems.
Awesome.
But yeah, that I hope they can expect that, like you said, I'll be very curious. I will facilitate a space where we will just really kind of dig deep into who they are as a person.
Awesome.
And then that in the midst of their suffering or, they're striving to flourish, that there's just tremendous hope for healing, for flourishing, and for, them to experience the love of Christ.
Awesome. Praise God. I think that's a great way to end right there.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. And we are totally excited that you're here, and we look forward to you being here many years in the future.
Thank you.
God bless.